Welcome to our video. Have you ever felt a deep sense of calm, even in the midst of chaos? It's a puzzling experience, isn't it? One moment, life seems to be swirling around you, full of noise and commotion. Then suddenly, you notice a stillness, a quiet that's always been there, just beneath the surface. This video is about that peace, the peace that exists behind all of our experiences. Let's start by talking about this constant backdrop of peace. It's like a canvas on which all of life's experiences are painted. This peace is always there, unchanging and ever-present. It's the foundation of our consciousness, the space in which all our thoughts, feelings, and sensations occur. But here's the interesting part: most of the time, we don't even notice it. It's so constant, so reliable, that it fades into the background of our awareness. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you noticed this peace? It might have been during a quiet moment in nature, or perhaps in the split second before falling asleep. Maybe you caught a glimpse of it during a busy day, in the brief pause between tasks. This peace is not something that comes and goes. It's always there, waiting to be recognized. But why don't we notice this peace more often? The answer lies in the nature of our everyday experiences. Our lives are filled with constant distractions. From the moment we wake up, our attention is pulled in multiple directions. There's the ping of our phone notifications, the demands of work and family, the constant stream of information from social media and news outlets. These experiences are often loud, colorful, and demanding. They grab our attention and hold it hostage, making it difficult to notice the quiet backdrop against which they're occurring. These distractions are not inherently bad. They are simply part of the rich tapestry of human experience. However, when we're constantly caught up in them, we can lose touch with the underlying peace that's always present. It's like watching a movie and becoming so engrossed in the action that we forget we're sitting in a theater. The peace is like the screen, always there, supporting the entire show, but often overlooked. So how can we start to recognize this stillness more often? The good news is that it doesn't require any special skills or abilities. All it takes is a shift in our attention. One simple technique is to pause for a moment and listen. Not for any particular sound, but for the space in which sounds are occurring. This space, this silence behind the sounds, is a doorway to the peace we're talking about. Another technique is to notice the space between your thoughts. Our minds are constantly producing thoughts, it's what they're designed to do. But if you pay close attention, you might notice tiny gaps between these thoughts. In these gaps, you can catch a glimpse of the underlying peace. You can try this right now. Take a deep breath and for just a moment, see if you can notice the space between your thoughts. Don't try to create this space or force your thoughts to stop. Just watch and wait. Even if it's just for a split second, you might notice a moment of quiet, of stillness. That's the peace we're talking about. Now, let's delve deeper into the nature of thoughts. Our minds are incredible organs, capable of producing a constant stream of ideas, memories, plans, and fantasies. These thoughts can be so compelling that we often mistake them for reality itself. But thoughts are not solid, unchanging things. They come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. When we start to pay attention to our thoughts, we might notice something interesting. We don't actually create our thoughts. They seem to arise on their own, from somewhere beyond our conscious control. We can influence the direction of our thinking to some extent, but we can't stop thoughts from appearing altogether. This realization can be quite liberating. It means that we don't have to take our thoughts so seriously. We can observe them with a sense of curiosity and detachment, rather than getting caught up in every passing idea or worry. And in the spaces between these thoughts, we can start to notice the underlying peace more clearly. The same is true for our emotions. Like thoughts, emotions are a natural and important part of our human experience. They add richness and depth to our lives. But also like thoughts, emotions are temporary visitors. They come and go, sometimes quickly, sometimes lingering for a while, but always changing. Even in the midst of strong emotions, the underlying peace remains. It's like the depths of the ocean. While storms may rage on the surface, creating huge waves and turbulence, deep below, the water remains calm and still. This doesn't mean we should ignore or suppress our emotions. Instead, we can learn to experience them fully while also maintaining an awareness of the peace that exists behind them. One of the most challenging aspects of noticing this peace is that our environments are often filled with noise and activity. But with practice, it's possible to find quiet even in the noisiest places. The key is to shift your attention from the content of your experience to the context in which it's occurring. For example, in a busy coffee shop, you might notice the chatter of conversation, the hiss of the espresso machine, the clinking of cups and saucers. But if you listen closely, you might also notice the space in which all these sounds are happening. This space, this silence that allows the sounds to be heard, is a gateway to the deeper peace we're discussing. You can practice this in any environment. Whether you're in a crowded city street, a quiet forest, or your own living room, there's always an opportunity to notice the peace that underlies all experience. It might be easier to recognize in some places than others, but with practice, you'll find that it's always available. As you become more attuned to this underlying peace, you might start to notice some interesting changes in your daily life. For one thing, you may find that you're less reactive to stressful situations. When you're grounded in an awareness of peace, the ups and downs of daily life don't seem quite so overwhelming. You might also notice improvements in your relationships. When we're operating from a place of inner peace, we tend to be more patient, more understanding, and better listeners. We're less likely to get caught up in petty arguments or misunderstandings. Instead, we can respond to others from a place of calm and clarity. This doesn't mean that life will suddenly become perfect or that you'll never experience stress or conflict again. But it does mean that you'll have a new resource to draw upon when challenges arise. You'll have a place of calm to return to, no matter what's happening in your external circumstances. Of course, there can be challenges and obstacles in this practice of noticing peace. One common hurdle is the belief that we need to create or achieve peace. But remember, the peace we're talking about is already there. It's not something we need to make happen. Our job is simply to notice it. Another challenge is the habit of constantly seeking stimulation or distraction. In our fast-paced world, we often feel uncomfortable with stillness or quiet. We might reach for our phones or turn on the TV as soon as we have a moment of downtime. Breaking this habit takes practice and patience. It can help to start small, maybe just taking a few moments each day to sit quietly and notice the peace that's always present. Some people also find that when they start to tune into this underlying peace, uncomfortable thoughts or emotions may surface. This is a natural part of the process. As we become more present and aware, we might notice aspects of our experience that we've been avoiding or suppressing. It's important to approach this with gentleness and self-compassion. Remember, the peace we're talking about is large enough to hold all of our experiences, even the difficult ones. As you continue to practice noticing this peace, you may find that your awareness of it deepens and expands. What starts as brief moments of recognition can grow into a more constant sense of underlying calm. This doesn't mean you'll be in a state of bliss all the time. But you might find that even in the midst of life's challenges, there's a part of you that remains connected to this deeper peace. This growing awareness can have profound effects on how you live your life. When you're grounded in peace, you're likely to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. You might find yourself naturally drawn to choices that support your well-being and the well-being of others. You may also discover a greater sense of connection to yourself, to others, and to the world around you. Sharing this understanding with others can be a beautiful way to deepen your own practice and to spread more peace in the world. This doesn't mean you need to preach or try to convince anyone of anything. Simply living from this place of peace can have a ripple effect, inspiring others to discover the peace within themselves. Remember, this peace is not something that belongs to you or to any individual. It's the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. By recognizing it in yourself, you're tapping into something universal, something that connects all of us. As we come to the end of this video, let's recap some key points. We've talked about the peace that exists behind all of our experiences. It's a peace that's always present, even when we're not aware of it. We've explored how the distractions of daily life can make it difficult to notice this peace, and we've discussed some simple techniques for tuning into it more often. We've looked at the nature of thoughts and emotions, seeing how they come and go while the peace remains constant. We've talked about finding quiet in noisy environments and how an awareness of peace can positively impact our lives and relationships. We've also addressed some of the challenges that might arise as we practice noticing this peace and how to work with them. The invitation now is for you to start exploring this in your own life. You don't need to do anything dramatic or make any big changes. Simply start to notice. Notice the space between your thoughts. Notice the silence behind sounds. Notice the peace that's present even in the midst of activity. Remember, this peace is not something you need to create or achieve. It's already here, always. Your task is simply to recognize it. As you do, you might find that your experience of life begins to shift in subtle but profound ways. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the peace behind all experience. May you continue to discover the depths of peace within yourself and in the world around you.